Hey, so this is the lore behind the World of Warcraft dungeon Shadowfang Keep. A long time ago, Shadowfang Keep was home to Baron Silverlane, an inheritance through the Silverlane family. Baron was a noble whose land was right outside where the Greymane Wall was to be built in the future. He ruled over those in Pyrewood Village, which was nearby, until the Scourge came. Gilneas built its wall after the Second War, and Gen Greymane decided Gilneas would leave the alliance of Lord Oran, and he decided they could run their own nation. People like Lord Darius Crowley, who had property on both sides of the wall, opposed this decision. Crowley's attempt to stifle this decision obviously failed, and the Greymane Wall went up, leaving everyone to the north of Gilneas to defend for themselves. The people under Baron Silverlane did fine for a while. They may have even found it agreeable because they were able to avoid taxes with the overlords being behind a wall and locked in. But then the Third War broke out, and Lord Oran was destroyed by its own Prince Arthas, who would later become the Lich King. Arthas ended up forming an alliance with the necromancer and lich Kel'Thuzad, who was once a part of the Kirin Tor. And he summoned Archimonde the Defiler, who was the leader of the Burning Legion, and brought them onto Azeroth. In doing so, Dalaran was completely destroyed, and the surviving mages of the Kirin Tor were all completely scattered apart. Arugal was a Gilnean who decided to research the Book of which was a tomb that contained studies from other dimensions. Was a talented mage, but he lived a long time before the relations of Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms. And because of this, he didn't know much about Druidism or the Emerald Dream. He could only make educated guesses of the Worgen who were former Druids. He basically just considered them to be beasts. The Worgen, however, able to prevent the Scourge from ever reaching Gilneas. They began to run through Pyrewood, and their curse was spread to the people of the village. They also infiltrated Baron's Keep and killed or transformed everyone inside. Arugal only wanted to defend Gilneas, but now he became the father of the Worgen that he had unleashed. He was unable to control their rampage, however they seemed unable to kill him, or just not inclined to. He declared himself Lord of Shadowfang Keep and the father of the Worgen within. And that's how things stayed for years after the Third War. But eventually the Scourge and Lord Oran broke free of the Lich King's control, and with Sylvanas Windrunner as their leader, they declared themselves the Forsaken. This didn't really matter to those within Shadowfang Keep because the Worgen in Pyrewood and its environs kept serving the Archmage who summoned them. Arugal fell, though. He became insane, and surrounded by monsters, he made too many enemies. The Alliance forces and the Forsaken both hated him, and a band of assassins made their way through his keep, destroyed all the Worgen and angry ghosts of Silverlane's time, and stormed into Arugal's chamber and killed him. This was only temporary. Servants of Arthas would come and pull him back to life to serve under him, but the keep was deserted for some time, with the exception of the ghosts. Gilneas faced an invasion by Sylvanas and the Forsaken, and Gen Greymane had to finally reveal that he also had become cursed and became a Worgen. Because of this, one of his most loyal followers, Lord Vincent Godfrey, had turned on him. Godfrey and his associates decided that if they could capture Greymane and hand him to Sylvanas if the Forsaken were to agree to leave Gilneas, that they could save their country. This didn't work because Godfrey's associates were killed by one of Greymane's pet Worgen. Godfrey then committed suicide so he wouldn't have to serve under someone he considered to be a monster. Sylvanas raised him back to the world of the living, along with his associates, and he too became a monster. He hated Sylvanas, so while pretending to serve her, he came up with another plan. Godfrey's plan was to drive Darius Crowley and his Worgen followers out of Silverpine and then turn on Sylvanas in a quick surprise attack. And if it wasn't for the Valkyr, the Worgen and the Forsaken would have been pushed out of Silverpine and the whole land would have been under the rule of Godfrey. but Sylvanas' Valkyr pets raised her from her second death, and Godfrey had to retreat. He went to the strongest position in Silverpine, which was Shadowfang Keep. He had his allies force the ghosts into serving them with a plan to make the entire landscape, Gilneas and Lordaeron, their own. Shadowfang Keep is now under a power-hungry Godfrey and his supporters. He has nowhere else to run or hide and is now being pursued by Ivar Bloodfang and his pack. So it seems it can only now come down to war.